Hi, fourth graders. You have done an absolutely wonderful job at adding and subtracting fractions and mixed numbers. So now it's time to take the next step. The next skill we're going to learn is how to multiply fractions. And remember last year and this year, I've told you how important it is to learn your math facts. And throughout fractions, you can see that we've been multiplying a lot. We multiply when you turn those improper fractions into mixed numbers. You multiply when you're doing the opposite, turning mixed numbers into improper fractions. So now we're actually going to be fully multiplying these fractions. So the first thing we're going to focus on is multiplying fractions by whole numbers. Now, turning fractions into whole numbers is something that we did last year, and it seems a little bit weird and confusing, but once you get the hang of it, it's really easy. When you have a whole number, like the number 6, in order to turn that whole number into a fraction, all you have to do is put a 1 in the denominator. Because what this means is that you have 6 1-wholes. 6 1-wholes. So that means you'd have this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Notice you have 6 of the same shape, 6 of the same size, and they're not broken up into any pieces. You have 6 wholes. So just remember, whenever you get a whole number, even if it's 121, in order to turn that whole number into a fraction, all you have to do is put a 1 underneath it. Now that's going to help you with today's work, because when you are multiplying by a whole number in a fraction, all you have to do is put a 1 under it. So you might see something that looks like this. You might see 3 times 2 thirds. So all you have to do to solve this is you have to turn this 3 into a whole number, and that will help you. So let's see. If we turn this 3 into a whole number, it would look like this. 3 1-wholes. Now we'd multiply that by our 2 thirds. Now this is the easy part. All you have to do is multiply the numerators together and multiply the denominators together. So it would look like this. 6 thirds. That's all you have to do. Now, sometimes it's going to ask you to simplify the equation, or maybe they might want us to turn this back into a mixed number, but you guys know what to do. So this is the correct answer. We could be looking for a better answer, though, a closer answer to match a mixed number, and we know that all you have to do is divide. So 6 divided by 3 is 2. So when you are adding and subtracting fractions, remember your denominators were the same, and so your denominator would stay the same, but then you would add the numerator. In this one, when we multiply fractions, you multiply the top and you multiply the bottom. So let's try another one. Let's say I have 4 times 1 third. Okay, so remember, we need to turn that 4 into a fraction. So because it's 4, it's a whole number, we turn it into 4 wholes. Now we can multiply our fraction. Okay, so let's see what we get. 4 times 1 is 4. 1 times 3 is 3. So there's our answer in an improper fraction. Now we can try to turn it into a mixed number if it asks you to simplify or if it asks you to change it. So remember, this fraction sign right here, all that means is divide. So we're going to do 4 divided by 3. Well, I don't know 4 divided by 3 off the top of my head, but I do know that 3 times 1 is 3, and it takes 1 more to get to 4. So we would have 1 remainder 1. So let's write that as a mixed number. We have 1 whole, 1 was our remainder, and then we keep the denominator the same. So you're using all of those strategies that we've learned so far about turning these into mixed numbers, and you're using multiplication. So it's kind of like all these different skills in one. You also will be getting problems where you're just multiplying two fractions. But you were already doing that when we multiplied two fractions here because you changed that whole number into a fraction. So you might get a fraction that looks like this. 2/3 times 1/6. So remember, when you're multiplying fractions, all you have to do is multiply the top numbers. So 2 times 1 is 2. And then you multiply the bottom numbers. 3 times 6 is 18. Now, that is the correct answer. That is awesome. But like I said, sometimes it might want you to reduce or simplify and go to a smaller number or change it to a mixed number. In this case, we can make it a smaller number, and that's why we've been practicing equivalent fractions and reducing. So remember, what you do to the top, you do to the bottom. So I'm looking at this, and I'm thinking of a number that both of them can be divided by to make them smaller. Well, I know that 18 is an even number, and so is 2, so I can divide both of them by 2. So remember what you do to the top. I'll do it in a different color so we don't get confused. What you do to the top, you do to the bottom. Okay, so 2 divided by 2 is 1. And 18 divided by 2 is 9. So our answer would be 1/9. Remember, 2/18 is correct. It is not an incorrect answer, but there is a way we can simplify it to give a better and more accurate and closer answer and simplify those terms. Let's try one more where we're multiplying two fractions together. We could say 3/4 times 2/3. Okay, so remember, we're going to multiply the top numbers together. 3 times 2 is 6, and 4 times 3 is 12. So that is a correct answer, but let's try to reduce it to get it to its simplest terms. So I see 6 and 12, and those are both even numbers, so I could divide them by 2. But I think that I can get even closer, an even smaller fraction. So when I see this, I know that 12 divided by 2 is 6, so you know what? Both of these can be divided by 6. Okay, so 6 divided by 6 is 1, and 12 divided by 6 is 2. So our answer in the simplest form would be 1/2, because what you do to the top, you do to the bottom. So the most important thing I want you guys to remember today is you multiply the tops, the numerators, and together to get your new numerator, and you multiply the denominators together to get the new denominator. The second thing that's important that I want you to remember is how to change these whole numbers, like 6, into a fraction. All you have to do is add that 1 underneath. The last little piece of information I want to give you is I don't want you guys getting this confused with when we were using cross multiplication. So we were using cross multiplication to help us figure out which fractions were bigger or smaller when we were comparing. So that's when we were going across. We were saying 3 times 2 is 6, and 4 times 1 is 4. And we were saying that because 6 is bigger than 4, that this is the larger fraction. So in that example, we were going across. And you can remember that by when you see two fractions like this and it's asking you to compare, that's when you go across to solve. But if there's already a multiplication symbol for you, if you're just multiplying, that's when you multiply the numerators and your denominators. Please absolutely let me know if you need any help. You can come to the Math Help Zooms, or if you need one-on-one help or want to meet with a small group and we can work on this, please let me know. Good luck today and have a great day. Bye.